Hello and welcome to the Pico Automotive Scope presentation. My name is Frank Massey from a company called ADS. We are an independent specialist automotive diagnostic company and have been involved with oscilloscopes and diagnostics for many, many years. Let's take a look at what scopes really mean to us. I suppose the first question we ought to ask is, why use a scope? Well, I could spend many, many hours explaining this. Essentially now, the automobile as we know it has joined the electronics age. In fact, it's been in that domain now for many, many years. There are many complex signals which can only be evaluated completely and fully and accurately using a scope. What is a scope? It's an electronic test tool which allows measurement in real time of both voltage and time to observe complex signals, measurement of current, and high-speed events that take place in circuits now throughout the entire car. Can I use a scope? A scope is like any skill. There's a certain amount of knowledge required to be able to command it and have confidence in its use, and having gained that confidence, your diagnostic ability becomes that much more powerful and that much more accurate, and therefore that much more profitable. What can I test? Essentially, you can test almost anything electronic with a scope. In fact, you can even test some mechanical functionality. There are certain devices which can be added as accessories. For example, by looking at voltage from a coolant sensor, you can monitor the opening of a thermostat. You can measure the compression of an engine or relevant compression relationship by looking at current demand from the battery. So the scope offers a unique opportunity to look at all components throughout the entire motor vehicle. Why use Pico? Pico has a number of essential and unique advantages. It's extremely compact. It has a colour screen. It can be used either with a PC or a laptop, and of course if that laptop has a VGA output, you can then use that to an alternative screen. For example, you may want a larger screen perhaps on the wall of the workshop. You may be conducting some tests in the car and want to observe a larger screen, use it for tuitional purposes. There's a number of options for the output that you can view. It's got Automotive Presets. Now, preset is a set of parameters, if you like, or decisions, choices which are made with the tool to enable an accurate picture display and to present the picture in a format that is diagnostically useful. So the presets are already in there for you. It comes with a full accessory kit. You'll notice from the contents of the case that included in this, and we'll come back to some of these when we do the practical demonstration later. The actual scope interface, I did mention, was compact, and it really is as compact as that. It's a 4-channel scope with USB for power and communication to the laptop or desktop. It comes with 2 current devices. These are inductive current devices. One is a high-frequency device for measuring discrete current flow through things like injectors, inductors, ignition systems, etc. It comes with a larger current clamp for cranking amps test, relative compression, etc. Comes with a fairly comprehensive set of probes, piercing probes, which have a fail-safe screw attachment so that it's hands-free, which is also another really useful addition. Comes with a various variety of probes, some acupuncture probes, attenuators for looking at ignition, and at the top of the case we have 4 inductive HT pickups and 4 channel probes. So it's everything you need all in one case. Some of the technical considerations. Why 4 channels? What does 4 channels mean? Well, it means that each of these inputs can monitor and evaluate an ignition circuit. This is becoming increasingly commonplace for us, mainly because of the evolution of drive-by-wire and complex systems on cars. It allows us to look at more components on one screen. So in other words, in some cases dividing the actual diagnostic time because we're gathering more data. And equally, we're then comparing the information from one channel to another, which is also a very critical tool in electronic diagnostics. It's got a very fast sample rate. What this means in effect is that the number of reference points per waveform is increased very, very high. This means that the accuracy, the content of the waveform is represented on the screen as it actually is in the waveform, actually in the circuit. It has a deep memory. One of the most powerful tools for the automotive industry is that having connected to a circuit, and bear in mind that the automotive arena, the vehicle, the engine, changes speed, therefore frequency, voltage ranges change, and to be able to recall this data from a deep memory buffer is an ideal tool. In other words, we can stop the scope, go back in real time and examine what we've captured. It gives us time to think about what we're looking at and to come to the right conclusion. It has clear resolution. The screen image is superbly clear, free from interference, noise clutter, electrical noise clutter, and allows a very clear understanding of what's actually taking place in the circuit. It has a comprehensive acquisition. Acquisition is how it collects and gathers the data. Triggering is how it stabilizes the data on the screen. And it has a multifunctional screen display. In other words, you can use split screen to look at the same component in different time periods. This gives us an overview and a zoom-in effect to look at detail within a particular signal. What sort of procedure should we adopt before we pick a tool like this up? Well, the most critical part is to discuss the problem with the driver of the car. The information they give you will help guide you with your knowledge into the area that you should be discussing and indeed examining. Visual examination should follow. A scope, as good as it is, can only examine electronic functionality. There can be many other things wrong with the car. Don't overlook these. So visual examination is quite important. Preparation is something that we've spoken about many years. Preparation is about preparing the vehicle so that the condition of the vehicle, this includes mechanical factors, things like condition of the air cleaner, oil, are there any air leaks? These are critical things that have to be put right before we get down to detailed diagnostics. Serial evaluation, this is something that really has been spoken about an awful lot in the diagnostic arena, especially with vehicles. Many people survive and rely just on serial communication. This is a great mistake because serial communication does not give us enough evidence of the actual cause or symptoms. In other words, we pull a DTC out of an ECU. Are we looking at the symptoms of the cause? We don't know. Component replacement now is extremely expensive. Many components now have to be coded to the CAN network. Therefore, component replacement for simple evaluation purposes is now a thing of the past. We have to get the diagnostics right first time with the vehicle intact. In other words, they've got to be pinpoint accurate. Scope, on the other hand, gives us accurate detail of the circuit. It also tells us exactly the functionality of the particular component. In other words, if it's a complex arrangement of voltage transitions, we see that very clearly. It's real-time response. Unlike serial data, which gives numerical information, you can't interpret that information in real time. You're just looking at numbers that may be jumping about on the screen with no real content or value. And of course, when measuring things like current flow through an inductor, an absolutely critical, important measurement, serially, you can't do that with the same accuracy. So the scope offers a great deal, way and beyond any other possible tool you could use in the automotive industry. That's why you need a scope. Is it easy to use? Well, yes, it is. You've got the preset menus for automotive applications, which cover a huge range of components. The installation itself is simple, so perhaps let's begin by showing you how to install a CD, how to connect the scope, and actually switch the tool on. At that point then, we'll pause, move the camera across the workshop, we'll actually bring a vehicle in and show you some simple demonstrations of how to obtain some fabulously accurate waveforms from a modern multi-point electrically controlled vehicle.